शब्द आएंगे लव, और हिंदी में इसके 4 शब्दों में मैं अर्थ सुनाऊंगी। पहले कहेंगे लव माना प्यार। मनुष्य प्यार की प्यासी है, शांति की भिखारी है। प्यास है मनुष्य को प्यार की, जिसका जहाँ से थोड़ा प्यार हो जाता है ना, बेचारे झूठे प्यार में फंस जाते हैं। परंतु अभी एक समझ चाहिए, मुझे कौन सा प्यार चाहिए जिसमें सच्चाई हो, शांति हो, उसमें अंदर से निष्काम भावना हो, निस्वार्थ होने के कारण जो प्यार होता है ना, वो मतलब का प्यार नहीं होता है, सच्चा प्यार होता है, जिसके ऊपर कहा जाता है प्रेम। गोपियों का भगवान के साथ प्रेम का गायन है। प्रेम में नियम भी नहीं, बिल्कुल प्रेम से प्रेम वो काम करता है जैसे ईश्वरी स्नेह के संपन्न बनते जाते हैं। प्यार, सच्चा हो, प्रेम अतीन्द्रिय सुख के झूले में भी झूल रहे हैं, मिलकर के प्रेम से बांध चल रहे हैं, ईश्वरी स्नेह में संपन्न बन रहे हैं। जैसे कि माला के मन के ईश्वरी स्नेह में भगवान के समीप आ रहे हैं। तो ईश्वरी स्नेह में संपन्न हो जाना, प्रभु के गले का हार बन जाना। चौथा फिर है प्रीत बुद्धि। जैसे पांडवों को कहा जाता है, निश्चय से प्रीत बुद्धि विजयंती, संशय से विपरीत बुद्धि विनशंति। तो दिन प्रतिदिन जितना ज्ञान से प्यार को जैसे समझते जाते हैं, तो प्यार की डोर इतनी मजबूत हो जाती है जैसे पतंग की डोर। यहाँ से पकड़ के बैठे हैं, ऊपर की लगी पड़ी हो, ऐसी लगी पड़ी हो, एक परमात्मा दूसरा न कोई। और हम सब आत्माओं के साथ भी रूहानी कनेक्शन है, और विश्व के सर्वात्माओं से भी सबके लिए कल्याण भाव का है। कोई हमारे लिए बुरा नहीं, कोई हमारे लिए ये अच्छा है ये ना अच्छा है, नहीं, सब अच्छे हैं। ऐसे अपने दृष्टि में रूहानी स्नेह, ये रहम दिल दृष्टि वृत्ति महासुखकारी बन जाती है। प्यार एक शब्दों में तो क्या क्या सुनाएंगे, तो दिल, भावना, वृत्ति, दृष्टि, सच्चाई प्रेम की अनुभव करा देती है। तो भगवान कहते, बच्चे मैं प्यार का सागर हूँ, शांति का सागर हूँ, आनंद का सागर हूँ। तुम भी मेरे बच्चे, ज्ञान सागर के बच्चे, प्यार के सागर में डुबकियां लगाते लगाते पावन बन जाओ।
afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Meditation Museum. Thank you for joining us here today. We're broadcasting live on Facebook and also on YouTube. So if you'd like, if you could take out your cell phone and share it with your family, your friends, and your network, that would be great. And you can use the hashtag Brahma Kumaris or Meditation Museum or America Meditating as well. Any of those would be good. Is there anyone that's here for the first time today? I think a few. Okay, one. Okay. So the Meditation Museum is operated by the Brahma Kumaris, which is a worldwide spiritual organization, and we have 9,000 branches in 120 countries. And in the metropolitan area, we have this location in Silver Spring, and also one in Tysons Corner, Virginia as well. We offer a full range of workshops and classes on personal development, and we also do corporate training. So if you happen to know of any businesses that are interested in training programs, please let us know or email the Meditation Museum. And today we have a wonderful program with Sister Jenna on self-compassion and self-care. And before we get started, I'd like to introduce Sister Jenna. Sister Jenna is the director of the Meditation Museum here in Silver Spring and Tysons Corner as well. And she's also one of the evolutionary leaders in service of conscious evolution. She was selected by Empower a Billion Women 2020 as one of 100 most influential leaders in 2015. And she sits on many advisory boards as well: Global Women Empowerment Network, the Million Mamas Movement, and Conscious Good Media. So let's welcome Sister Jenna.
Weather is beautiful based on what your mental state is. Does that make sense? So happy that you could be with us. Please, did you take out your cell phone? Did you go on your Facebook or come on, it's non-profit, it's a free program. The least we can do is do service while we're here, and we just share it. I've seen for myself, friends or associates or contacts, I'll get stuff that they tag or share, and I go, I don't need this. This is of no purpose to me. But when it's positive, do you hear me? When it's good for you, then you want to share that with the people, and then that becomes service. Anything that you initiate from within you to be of good for mankind, it is seva, it is service, it is of benefit. Bless you, Gesundheit, Om Shanti, wonderful. Yesby always comes and blesses the museum with his sneezes, and we always feel welcome when he's around. Of course, some of the folks who sit next to them, I've noticed they move 2-3 seats over when he sneezes. Okay, but we don't mind him, but we do know that sometimes folks are not sure if it's an allergy or if it's contagious. I know it isn't, but you're a blessing to the space. Today's discussion is one about compassion, and it's always a topic that some of us not necessarily are very experienced in, you know. It's about self-care. And sometimes when we take care of ourselves, we sometimes feel we're being a little selfish. What we've understood is that there's a need to understand, well, what is the right way to take care of ourselves? And what I like to do is begin first with the most important form of taking care of ourselves. It begins with our thoughts. This might be your beginning process, your middle process, and your end process in your well-being. Have you ever slept so much and you woke up and you were still tired? What's that about? I mean, you slept, you were in the comfort of your own bed, you weren't traveling in some developing countries, sleeping on hard beds with pillows, you have no idea where they've been. And you're in your own space, in your own bed, you slept comfortably, you slept for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, you wake up, you still don't feel like, oh, wow, good morning. You're like, oh, another day. So I think that one of the most important ways to acknowledge if you've been taking care of yourself, and I know this might not feel very well when you receive it, but I find it very important for you to observe the way you wake up in the mornings. That is your signal if you're taking care of yourself or not. At a thought level, at an action level, at a word level, this is a great signal for you to acknowledge if you're taking care of yourself or not. How you feel when you wake up first thing in the morning. Who's a morning person? Okay, who really wakes up after 10 o'clock at night? So there's some of us that do that. Some of us actually wake up and feel alive when it starts to get to around 9 p.m., 10 p.m. It's like that's when we start to tick. Our brain starts to go, I could do so much more. We go to bed at 2 o'clock. So when we go into our spirituality, and in spirituality they say between the time of 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., it's the most sacred time of the hour, that we're just falling asleep at 2, and I'm supposed to get up by 5 to be in my sacred moment, that it doesn't really fit well. Can you go back to when electricity didn't exist? Just for a little bit. When we didn't have something called a light bulb. And the only industry that we had around was that we would go and buy candles. Or we made candles. And there was a time that we had kerosene lamps, where we would have lamps with a specific oil with a wick, and then we would light it, and we could turn up the flame, turn down the flame. Just remember those days. Remember what it cost to put the oil in the lamp? And how many lamps you needed to put in your house, in your room, in order to get light. Do you remember those days? Your grandmother would. Just go back there for a little bit. So what did you do after 9 p.m. to the crack of dawn back in the day? How did you live? What were your values? Did you sleep well? Did you eat dinner at a right time? Did you spend more time with the family? Were you more thoughtful? I leave you to think about the way that we treat our bodies and our minds even after 9 p.m. at night. So the first and foremost thing I'd like you to explore is thought. Let's write it down, record it, put it somewhere very deep in you. Thought is a form of energy. Thought is a form of energy. Hear that? Thought is a form of energy. And if my thoughts are consistently focused on material energy, then I will feed into the material energy. If my thoughts are focused on only being a woman, if you don't treat me like a woman, I'm going to get very upset. If my thoughts are focused on being an American, if whatever American values are, if I don't feel them existing anymore, I'm not going to feel good. It's going to affect me. If my thoughts are based on my religion, if you belong to my religion, I feel safe. If you don't, I'm kind of very wary, or I close off. But even though we're working in the same office, doesn't mean I got to listen to you. All of that is a thought. My thought energy is focused on my material existence. Give it some thought. On a scale from 1 to 10, on a day-to-day basis, how much do you serve your thought energy based on the material world? 10 being the highest. Those on Facebook, write down, how often do you think in a day thoughts that are only focused on your material world, your physical world? On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how much time do you spend on your physical world of thought? Give it some thought. And what has been the return for you? Has life gotten easier? Has it become sweeter? Are you less fearful? Are you more happy? Are you empowered? Are you caring? Let's turn our thought energy towards the non-physical. Take a little while and go into the non-physical dimension. Now, the non-physical energy that I'd like you to focus on is an energy that is based on what we would call in the Brahma Kumaris light capacity. These are thoughts that are connected to intentions that are very pure based. How often in a day are your thoughts deriving from the intention of being benevolent, giving before you receive, giving love before you receive love, sharing from a peaceful place, sharing from a place of nobility, of compassion, of peace? How often do you speak peacefully to people? I was in the office this morning, and it's a wonderful group of individuals that were passing by, and someone was going into the van and was a handicapped individual. And the person outside who was just assisting the person who was handicapped, I could literally hear them 2 blocks away. But they were being nice, they were being helpful. But what that sound signaled to me is that the person isn't taking care of themselves from a deeper place, because the loudness of their tone is saying, I'm not hearing me deeply, I'm not listening to me. So how many of us actually speak in a very peaceful tone? Because when you speak in peace, you're actually taking care of yourself. When you speak loudly and welcome everyone, and it's nice to have all of you here, wonderful, wonderful, it becomes really high energy. And in order to maintain that energy, you have to spend a lot of energy. So sometimes when certain things in life don't work out for you, you need energy, but we are lacking energy because we spent it on an area that I really didn't need to spend. So when we can direct our thought energy into an area where my intentions are connected, the non-physical, how peacefully am I sharing my life with this person? How purely am I looking at this person's strengths and powers? To what extent is God's love and wisdom flowing through me? So, what I'd like to do is to ask us to take a moment of silence, just a moment of silence. And I want you to close your eyes and think about my question. How much am I serving my life at the material level or at the non-material level, the non-physical level? To what extent am I really serving the self? Be very honest. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how much are you serving your heart and soul? Okay. So think about it. And now does everyone have a notebook and pen? If you need pen and paper, please tell me. Okay, so pen and paper for 4 people. Okay, I need notebook and pen. What I'd like you to do based on that experiment is, I would like to invite you to write a letter of compassion to yourself and ask if there's a possibility for you to serve yourself more. Is there room to take care of myself more? So the letter is going to start like this. You're going to actually start your letter by, Dear so-and-so, my name. Dear Jane, good afternoon. I'm curious. Tell me, what are you serving more, your physical or your non-physical? How are you doing? And then what I'd like you to do is to begin to write this letter completely just to yourself, nobody else. I want you to write a letter to yourself, honestly describing the real circumstance if you're taking care of yourself or not. And while you're doing that, just take some time. This isn't a rushed process, it's an intimate gathering. I want you to simply write a letter, honestly describing if you really are taking care of yourself, and honestly write down what you think is getting in your way of taking care of yourself. Take your time. Everyone's got pen and paper. Santosh, if you can play some music, that would be wonderful. And I'll come back to you in about 10 minutes. So that means there's no rush. You are now going to write a letter to yourself to determine to what extent are you caring enough for you. Okay?
Is there something getting in your way in which you're not really taking care of
your time, don't rush. When you're ready, just put the pen down, and I'd like you to read your letter back to yourself quietly. When you get a chance, just read your letter quietly to yourself. This is your compassion to you. One of the greatest themes or signs of being a compassionate person is to be honest with yourself. It's the most important virtue. And as you read it back, observe how you feel when you read back a letter that you just took 10 minutes to write to you. And observe where these feelings, what thoughts are connecting you to these feelings. Are they connected to a particular person, or are these thoughts going back to you? A kind of sense of responsibility, some sort of a realization that says, I chose to do this. I chose to feel this way. I chose to believe in the propaganda of what was indoctrinated to me as a child. I chose to accept that when my mother and my dad told me that I was this, I believed it. I chose to accept that what a country or religion told me I was, I believed it, but it didn't fit right. And today I'm choosing to get out of that propaganda. You know, I realized that if you're a good marketing professional, you can sell anything. You can sell a broken down car part to an expert mechanic and tell him, oh, it's a new style of part. If you're a really good marketer. And that mechanic, even though he knows that part doesn't seem to be good, the way you worded your sale convinced him so much to buy a part that he knew was broken, but he thought maybe he's right. Maybe this is the part that is a new design. And in the same way, for so many generations upon generations, we have been given information about the color of our skin, the way our hair should be combed, the way we should dress, the way we should speak, the job we should have, the relationship that we should fall into. A lot of things have been told to us, and now it's not fitting right. It's not fitting right because we're not taking care of ourselves. And if the outside world isn't even trying to help me anymore, then that means the work that I've got to do now is me. I now have to really start to take care of me. I was on a call the other day, a meeting call with a lot of leaders, and in the meeting call was a discussion about how to create inclusion and diversity, and I thought to myself, my life is all about that, by the way, so I'm not worried about a conversation like that. That's not a conversation that I have, because I don't see that as a problem for me. But for a specific group that was looking at the diversity, my question was, but do you live a life of diversity? So why do you want to bring a diversity in your organization if you yourself aren't living a diverse lifestyle? So sometimes we ask for changes and we ask for things because it looks good in the society right now. But I myself don't believe it. And I'm not investing in it. So the most important thing that we can do for ourselves in the 21st century, especially when it comes on to a compassionate you, is to start to question things and to begin to answer those questions truthfully based on how you feel at that moment. Not on how you want to feel, but how do you feel at that moment? Really, are all Asians really very smart? We might say yes. but these are stereotypes. It's a propaganda. We've been marketed to believe that basically majority of Asians strive for higher education. But you go to certain developing countries where population might be 1 point something billion, and 70% of the country is illiterate. So is it true? Are all Asians super intelligent? So something came up in the meeting yesterday, and this was coming from an individual from a particular race that was very fair-skinned, blue eyes, blonde hair. And her discussion was that I'm tired of going into these organizations and groups where you talk about diversity and all I see are people who look like me. Now, she raised it, I didn't. I didn't even think of it, because I don't think about diversity or inclusion. Because sometimes I'm going to be with a whole bunch of people who are light-skinned and green eyes. And sometimes I'm going to be with a whole bunch of people who might have dreadlocks and a beard. And sometimes I'll go somewhere with a whole bunch of people who look like Indians. That's my diversity. But I might not be in a room where everybody looks all of those different colors. Do you know, so I didn't know what to say. I was very neutral. But it was interesting that that came up, right? So I think what's happening is that many of us want to begin to come from a place that has compassion and wisdom and acceptance. And we're struggling to find out, how do I do this? How do I embrace women if I have been raised in a family where my mother was abused? How do I embrace another race? If I was raised a Muslim, how do I embrace Christians if I've never been around them? If I was raised in a household that was totally Indian, only Hindus, how do I embrace Caucasians that are of a different culture? I don't think you can embrace people unless you're compassionate with yourself. There's something about you taking care of you and feeling secure about you that gives you permission to be with everyone. Again, there is something in the formula of taking care of yourself, of truly being very compassionate about yourself, about thinking about yourself in a beautiful way, that gives you the permission to belong to everyone. And when you do that, it's no longer about the color of somebody's skin or race or religion. It is about the value that you carry into your connection, whether they're black, white, Chinese, rich, poor, tall, or short. And that's what I want us to walk away with today. I want us to start to think from this perspective that I've been taking care of myself. And so I can accept you. I can accept that your religion is different. I can accept that you do things that work differently than I do. I can accept that your skin is paler than mine, and I can accept that you're of a different gender. But I'm not here about your external world that has been fed for so long. I am here because I'm now feeding my interior, non-physical world. You get what I'm trying to say now? So when we talk about compassion for the self, this is huge. This is the cure of what's going on in our world today. We can actually cure what's going on in America, in Europe, in Russia, in Africa, in China, in Japan, in the Central America, South America, in Guatemala, in Mexico, in Argentina, in Brazil, in China. We can actually cure humanity if we start to take care of ourselves. It's no longer the responsibility of leadership. How many of you already voted early voting? You're going to vote today. Yeah, I'm thinking of one. I want to do early voting too. And we had a discussion the other day, and those who are watching on Facebook, you know, somebody said to me, I'm just going to vote everything Democratic even though I don't like some of the candidates. And again, this is where again we're back in the same position. You know, I get where that's coming from. Because there's something happening in certain political parties that we feel like nobody's speaking up for the truth, so we're like, I don't care who we're voting in, just vote the other side. Now, this was a conversation I had this morning, and I kind of stepped back for a little bit, wondering, what do I do? What do I do? I hear certain areas in Texas, they're voting, and the voting results are automatically getting switched. So that means I've got to, again, pay attention. Just like how I got to pay attention to what's going on outside of me, now I got to pay attention to what's happening inside of me. Because if I don't pay attention, I'm going to end up selecting or choosing something I didn't really want to sign up for. Or I end up in a position where I'm choosing something I feel like I have no options. So when it comes onto your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, your being, your spirit, your light, your soul, your ruh, your atma, your alma, whatever is the name you want to call it, spirit, no one can interfere, no one can hack that system. No one can rig your system unless you choose to allow it to get rigged. Make sense? All right. So the first thing I started off with today is pay attention to what you're thinking. Right now I'm going to ask you, if you think about something super, 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 super amazing that has happened in this lifetime, check how it makes you feel. What one super amazing thing has happened to you in this lifetime? You just remember when it happened, the people you were connected to, how young you were, where you were, who you were with, the situation, the result that came out of it. Do you remember that time? I mean, you might have had 1 or 2 or 5 or 10, but try to just dig into one. You know, when you just did it right, when everything just worked out right. Do you remember that moment? Even right now, I'm trying to look for so many, like, oh my gosh, I think that was last week. I don't know. You can go shopping inside of your head for all the moments that were really, really good feeling moments for you. You got some? Did you find one yet? Still digging? Keep digging. All right, keep digging. Anyone needs more time to keep digging? Dig, 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 dig. All right, you find that when you find that thought is connected to the feeling. How does it make you? You feel good. All right, now this is really important. When you feel good, that's the energy we want you to keep living from. Your feeling good energy is the basis of taking care of your compassionate self. Your feeling good energy is the basis of moving your life forward quicker. Your feeling good self is a sign that you and God are one. You're walking with the divine because the energy of the divine is always a good feeling energy. I never know what to tell people when they say God's an angry God. I go, I get that, I just don't think so. I got enough angry people down here on ground zero, much as to go up to the penthouse and find them upset with me. Got it? Because this is what I want you to do. When you're thinking about taking care of yourself, you got to get out of the basement. You got to get off of the first floor. Because when you're in the basement and on the first floor, you're in body awareness. You see the color of your skin. You go, my skin should be darker to look really pretty. My locks should be longer. You know the meaning of dreadlocks? Do you know how dreadlocks came about in the first place? It's a very powerful saying. Back in the days, Bob Marley and before even Bob, right? There was a saying that when you started to wear locks as an African man, the locks was to show your strength, and then the dread was that, and this is no offense to any race in the room, but the dread was that there were people from other races with lighter skins who dreaded the locks. So for the first time, African men felt that they would walk in a room with a power because they'd been disempowered for so long. So they would wear the locks as a statement to say, I do have my power here. And when I walk in a room with my locks, I notice you dread me because you're afraid of me. And so it's interesting that we use these stigmas and these scenes to try to be our better self, but it's not about your locks. It's not about the color of your skin. It's not about the rings on your finger or the degree that you hold. Your ability to walk in a room with power is about the compassionate you that you serve at a higher level. It's about your pure feelings that you bring into space and you change people's vibrations. It's about you not believing in the negative thoughts and vibrations people offer you to try to disempower you. One of the greatest weapons that you can offer somebody is to defame their character. One of the greatest weapons you can use against a person to disempower them is to try to convince them to believe they're less than. And for the person to make you think you need me. That's not a person who's taking care of their compassionate self. You get that? The greatest weapon you really want to disempower and make somebody weak, criticize them. Gossip about them. Lie to them. Cheat to them. Complain about them. Be jealous. Manipulate them. It's a great weapon. Especially if they're not strong enough and they start to believe in that and say, oh, well, you know, you can feel it as a subtle energy over you. I don't think I'm good enough. You walk around like that. And here in teachings of Raj Yoga meditation, we're telling you, oh wow, you have no idea how good you are. Just detach from the color of your skin, detached from your religion, detached from your gender, detached from your language, detached from your country, detached from your family and how they treated you and how they should have treated you. And I want you to sit with me and let me show you how powerful you are. I want you to start to serve your non-physical energy that nobody can touch. They can say, you're not pretty enough. Yeah, that's good. But they can't say, my spirit isn't pretty enough. If I've been working on my spirit long enough, my spirit is pretty, and you can't touch that unless I let you. So when you're being very compassionate to yourself and when you're taking care of yourself, I don't care what any government, any person in leadership, any person next door, any person with slanted eyes, oval eyes, green eyes, brown eyes, black eyes, blonde hair, brown hair, black hair, dreadlocks say about you. Unless you're taking care of yourself, you don't have permission to believe that. You get that? When you're taking care of yourself, you don't take in debris that other people are spilling out. When you're taking care of yourself, you do not take in the debris that other people are spilling out. My latest quotation has been, don't dim your light so another person can shine. A lot of us try to, we're in a job, we're in a position, and it seems as if you might be able to do something just a little bit better. Not as a competition, you just see, that could be better on you. But the boss is in charge, is like, who are you to tell me how to do my job? And then you go, oh, well, I guess I'm not supposed to show up too much. So what happens is, like, if you find your life around certain people, you might say, you call them controlling, you call them micromanager, you might think they're jealous of you. Maybe they're not. But the thing is, you're dimming your light around them so they can shine, but for the wrong reasons. That's not compassion to the self. So here's how I look at that. If you shine your light so brightly, if you shine, you take care of your spirit, you think in the right way, you speak in the right way, you choose things that are right for you and others around you, and you start to shine like amazing, you know what's going to happen? They're going to see you and they're going to go, I got to shine too. So that means instead of me dimming my light for you to shine, now I've got to take on the real opportunity here is to brighten up my light so much that when I walk in a room, you automatically feel like you want to shine too. So with that kind of compassion for yourself, no one can take advantage of you because you're taking care of you. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? Are you with me? You struggling with this? You all right? All right, because this is really vital for us to hold on to right now. We're in an age and an opportunity that we're given the best chance to actually step up and step in and step totally broader. And if we're still playing small, waiting for someone to come and rescue you, you missed it. People who are taking care of themselves and who are compassionate don't wait for someone to take care of them. They take care of themselves. People who are compassionate about themselves don't wait for someone to come and rescue them. They rescue themselves. And because they have now developed the tools of how to do that, they start to go out and rescue others just by basically showing up in a room. I've seen so many people in relationships struggling with each other just because the other person just doesn't want to be humble. There are marriages that have been together for 20, 30, 40 years. They end just because somebody doesn't want to humble themselves. A whole bunch of stuff, waste of money, waste of time, waste of energy, and your ego will find all the reasons why, I don't know why I even stayed in there for 10 years. I stayed in there for 20 years. I stayed in there for 30 years. You never said to yourself, I didn't think from a different place in this marriage with this person. You never turned that attention to yourself to say, was there another way that I could have seen myself with him, with her? Was I looking at him and looking at her from the wrong lens? Did I keep looking at my spouse from the level in which I wanted them to be for me? Or that I humble myself and look at my spouse from the awareness that I did need to change. We can work this out.
So the self-kindness and self-mindfulness are sort of very closely related? Or?
I think so, because self-kindness and self-mindfulness is all about attention on the self. And one of the reasons why so much is going on in the world and there's so many conflicts is that I'm not paying attention. People will walk in here sometimes, very rarely. You can feel the vibrations are sweet, but they'll be like, ah, blah, 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 blah. And you know who it is? Always the advanced students who are meditating here all the time. There's a saying in India that those who live by the Ganges don't appreciate the Ganges as those who visit the Ganges. So it's always my advanced students. They're like, oh, making noise, shuffling papers. It's meditation time. It's the time they should be quiet. But that's the time they choose to pop their gums. Oh, let me turn off the phone. Oh. But individuals who come for the first time, they can feel like it's a sacred land. Let me honor the space. And the minute they start to come here 10 times, they're like, hey girl, hey. Oh, sorry, meditation, Sister Jenna? Sorry. Those who visit the Ganges appreciate it more than those who live by the Ganges. So pay attention that you've not taken your world for granted to that extent that you can't even recognize how valuable you are anymore. Or how sacred you are. Question?
If you're feeling, sorry, are you saying that if you're feeling like someone's being unfair to you, to work on your own vibration before confronting, before discussing, before telling the person that you feel that you're being, that I'm being treated unfairly, and why are you, or talking to them, to focus on my own vibration?
I'm saying that how often have you been able to speak to somebody who you think has been unfair to you and it has worked? Never. Correct. Okay, so let's pause there. It's never worked. It's never worked. When you've ever gone in front of somebody and go, listen, I've known you and you've been like this to me, and because where they're coming from is not necessarily always a personal attack on you, it's just where they are. But when their energy matches your energy, there are issues that you've got to sort out. And for some reason, the energy that they bring to you makes you feel like this is unjust. This is unfair, which means there's some karmic work that I need to do. Because I've looked at 10 other people in the office, they're not bothered as much as I am. It seems as if my supervisor is treating everyone almost the same. And they're able to tolerate it, but I'm about to jump out of the building. I'm like, I can't take this. Can't you see what he's doing to our department? Yeah, what you gonna do? No? Just carry on. It's a paycheck. But you're the only one that absolutely wants to quit the revolution. So it's hurting you more, which means it's your sign, that's your signal. Something in you has to shift. So whatever's going on in the workplace, that the personalities are different, the way they're doing it at work is different, the vibrations that they're coming into the workplace is different. And if it's affecting you, you need your connection to Source. Because Source will clean out your field like you would not believe, that when you walk back into that office, and I'm not talking pretty words to you, I'm telling you as a fact, you, the soul, connect deeper to the Source, to the Supreme Energy, and all of that negative energy that's sitting in your recording of your spirit will start to absolve. And you start to feel like you can deal with their difference differently. Like you start to give yourself enough wisdom and love and silence and consistency in that, and you get out of their vibrational field, you start to feel like you can deal with it better. And then when they show up 6 months later, for some reason it's the same behavior, but what you have noticed is you're not the same. So that means you're working on yourself, you're changing. And you never know that it just might turn out that even 6 months later, when you recognize that you're different and you're a little bit of a better version, they might walk away feeling, I really like her, and something changes in them. I've seen that. Now here's the trick about thought, right? Whatever thought you have the most, that's what you feed into your reality. Underline that. So if I think that someone is unjust, And every time I think of the person and the situation and what they're doing, I'm feeding that energy. So that means I believe in that energy more than what I deeply, deeply wish for my life. Now, I might wish that I'm not in a vibrational field where I feel like there's injustice surrounding me. I might feel like I want to go in front of the supervisor or my spouse, and it's neutral. It's okay. I've accepted you because I've accepted me. And I'm focusing on feeding my non-physical energy more, which are more my virtues, my values, my core beliefs, my strengths, my powers, okay? So when I'm more into the mode of acceptance, I can focus on my strengths. My thoughts can feed more into the person that I wish to be. So then whatever negativity is coming, I'm no longer feeding that. So that can't corrupt my files anymore. That virus can't disempower me. When a virus gets into your hard drive, you're losing all your files. So every time you begin to think about the negativity someone says, right now America is so charged with what seems like a narrative of people wanting a particular race of people or a group of people to feel in a particular country, you are less than. And if we keep watching the media, social media, and all the trolls and all the stuff out there, you might wake up one day thinking, I guess we really are the inferior ones. Only because it keeps being fed into your vibration and you question it because then you're seeing the visuals and you're hearing it. Then there are people in power who can confirm it, that you begin to question yourself only because you're beginning to feed in their thought energy. That's the only reason. But in reality, it isn't the reality. The reality is you will always have a choice. Do you feed into the virtues and the values of your spirit, or do you feed into your material existence? Which is most important? Virtues, values, or your material existence? Yeah, because when you're trying to prove to somebody how they've been treating you, you start to get worse. I was at a dinner with two of my best friends, and we're talking about peace and love and, sacredness and humanity, and these are two amazing, great people. And I'm a vegetarian, right? I'm half Jamaican. We were raised on pork, pig feet, this, curry goat, oxtail, stew peas, rice, jerk. That's what we were raised on. Amen. Sister Geeta still makes the best Jamaican jerk tofu. Come for her cooking for peace class. And so when I became a vegetarian, it's not because I heard about what was going on with animals and how bad they were treated. I don't know, maybe I just got lucky. But I can tell you this for sure. As we were sitting having tea, and we were talking about peace, they started to come out and bring out their chicken lunch. And I would go, how could you eat chicken if you're talking about peace? And they looked at me like, what is your problem? And I'm like, come on. We just had a conversation about how elevated our lives are, and you're eating a chicken? And I kept trying to prove to them that I was right, and it got worse. It just kept getting worse and worse for me. But it turned out that here I am talking about them eating chicken. And here I am creating a vibration that wasn't so holy. You get it? You're not laughing and you thought it was so funny. I just cracked up because as I was driving home, I started to feel so awful. And then I called them when I got home to apologize. And I don't know what got into me. I mean, I accept you guys. I know you all aren't completely vegetarian. I just don't know what happened. And it was at that moment I decided in my life, I'm not going to interfere in anyone's business. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to accept them for being who they need to be. So whether they're being just or unjust, because I'll tell you what I feel. If I walk around subtly with the vibration, because I've been thinking about it for a long time, that I'm a victim, there are people out there energetically who know where to find the victims. And they will come into my field and they will confirm, we know you're a victim, so let me validate your belief system. And I might think it's not my fault. I was innocent. And yes, you were, to some extent. However, there is an ongoing narrative going on inside of us, and it's building an energy in us. So here's my closing thoughts for everyone who has attended today. Pay attention to your thoughts. Don't believe in propaganda. Ask the right questions. Answer them for yourself. Check what your feelings are saying to you. Again, you write it down? This one's for you, Mr. Wakanda. So what I want you to do is to have the right thoughts. The right thoughts should focus on your non-physical self. And those are all the energy that are based on what your dreams are, your values, your virtues. If you don't understand the deep meaning of the word virtues, please look it up. It is everything about your personality. It's a word that people just don't use anymore, but we are in need of virtues in these times. Because we can recognize people when there's a lack of virtues instantly by their behavior, which is very offensive. Then we realize the person has no more virtues left. But when a person has a lot of virtues, they can't offend you. They're too sweet. They're kind. They're noble. They're good. So the virtues in a person will be your golden ticket to freedom, especially as you get close to the end of the story. Your virtues will be your golden ticket for freedom, especially as you get closer to the end of the story. Second thing is, don't believe in the propaganda. Ask the right questions. Don't believe what they talk about you at work. Don't believe what your mother told you when you were a kid. Auntie, uncle, brother-in-law, sister-in-law. Don't believe what your old spouses told you before. Oh, you were no good, you're not for me, I never loved you anyway. Don't believe them. It's propaganda. What I want you to do is to check when they say what they say to you, how did that make you feel? And based on how you feel, you'll be able to determine where you are for yourself inside. Okay? So they might say something to you, I never wanted you, I was just using you, I really more preferred your girlfriend. And you're like, what? You have to kind of step back and go, well, that made me feel used. Then your other thought would be, but was I even trying to use him too? So is this my settling? But is it that I'm not good enough and my best friend is better than I am? Or is it that I am good enough, I just made a wrong selection? Maybe I'm refining my choices. And this taught me so good that I know what I will be selecting next time around. Does that make sense? So don't believe in the propaganda. Don't believe in what the news is telling you fully. Ask the right questions. Do listen to the news if you need to, but don't let it suck you in for hours upon hours. That vibration feeding into you will corrupt your files. You only need to know what you need to know. You'll hear it anyway. Right? And so ask the right questions, because there's a very big number of us in this country who are believing in certain things without asking the right questions and getting the right facts. I don't care what side you're on, blue, red, purple. Don't believe in the propaganda. No race, no gender, no social status of people is less than. You're only less than if your spirit is vile. You are only less of a good human being if your personality and your spirit is nasty, is rude, is giving violence and hate to people. That's when you need to really worry about yourself. Because if your spirit is bringing out those vibrations, that's when you need to worry about you. Do you understand? So don't believe in the propaganda. But if you're feeling bad about it, you need to recognize, I need more power, because I'm not what this vibration is saying that I am. And that's when you start to pay attention. That's when you study. See, some people didn't even know the meaning of dreadlocks. That's where you need to investigate. If I'm going to walk in a room and stand for something, let me understand the deep-rooted meaning behind why I walk in with my white sari, what it means to me. When I first put it on, I just thought it looked good. But then after a few years, I go, oh, this is what it means. I am dead to the world. I don't need this world. I've got the one above. When I figured that out, then I realized why when I went to India, everybody looked at me with so much compassion. Oh, she's a widow. Mm. I'm like, I'm not a widow. I'm good. Like Daddy Yankee reminds me, my husband is God, my 2 kids are peace and happiness, and they go everywhere with me. So just to keep reminding yourself, ask the right questions so that you're not fooled by anyone or anything outside of you, whether it's a system, a rulership, a spouse, a teenager. A teenager can fool you, you know. Your friend, your colleagues at work. Ask the right question, and you will not be afraid of anyone if you're truthfully taking care of yourself inside. So asking the question doesn't mean I'm afraid or I'm going to lose my job. Asking my question means that boss should be very happy with me because I'm here for all the right reasons and I want to stay here for the right reasons. Because once I'm clear, you're going to get the best of me. A clear thinking person will always succeed. A person without clarity will end up in a jungle of thorns. It is the law of the universe. So don't waste your thinking on things that are not of use to you. And then when you need the power, you don't have it because I haven't been taking care of my thoughts. So don't believe in the propaganda and ask the right questions, especially from the right people. Okay? If you want to be a clown, go to a clown. Don't go to a doctor. If you want to become a barrister, don't go to a mechanic. He's not going to teach you. Ask the right people. So when you have a very important question about your life, go to the right people who are living that truth that you've seen and witnessed with your own eyes, so that whatever they tell you, you can trust it. Speak to the right people. Okay? Don't waste your time in a jungle of thorns. Got that? It's so important. So a question from YouTube. Where can I draw the line between taking care of myself and being selfish? At the end of the day, I think as a human, the pleasure is to live for someone. You will always live for other people when you're taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself doesn't mean an absence of folks. Taking care of yourself means you're focusing on the quality of your thoughts while you're with the people. Remember when I said a compassionate person, compassionate care is focusing on the quality of your thoughts. I didn't tell you to leave people. I didn't tell you to move away from them. I said to amplify your quality about your well-being within yourself, that you're shining so bright that the people that you are there to take care of are inspired to shine as brightly too. I hope that answered your question on YouTube. Anyone else with any thoughts to share or questions? Did this help you today? Was this helpful? Did this wake you up a little bit? Woke you up a lot? Do you hear me, Wakanda? I got my eyes on you. See, one of the things I do, I watch your body language. I see the way you look at me, and if you're interested, if you even recognize the energy that you're with in the room. And when I notice that maybe you're not even present, then I notice that you're not taking care of yourself. Then I'm going to need to put a little extra jab in you. Yep. What's up? You know, and this is what happens because we're so caught up with our stuff that sometimes the diamond is right there, but you can't see it. So you're like, where's the money? I need some money. I need to make more money. Yeah, but dude, I just gave you the diamond. No, you see, because you're just not present. You understand? So when you're taking care of your thoughts, you can recognize the real jewel and diamond when it's right in front of you. Does that make sense?
Hi, Sister Jenna.
Hi.
Love you so much.
Same here. great question. Once my health crashes, what do I do? What do I need to do to restore my personal health? Well, definitely, you can remember the days when you felt better about yourself. So that's number one. And you got to keep feeding your vibration of when you're healthy again, because you knew what that felt like. So it's important that every day when you wake up, you begin to remind yourself, I am so healthy, I just know it. My cells, everything is working well. The second thing is to find out what your physicians are saying. If he says, take this, take that, do this, then listen, but still ask the right questions. Because I'm not saying that all physicians will tell you what to do. They'll just give you antibiotic and get better. But you want to still do some research. Is antibiotic the only cure for what I'm going through? So is there another naturopath way that I can also assist with this? So then taking care of your health has a lot to do also with your own research into what your physical situation might be. And then the third thing is surround yourself with very positive people. Be around very positive energy people, because when you're around positive people, the vibration serves your physical well-being as well as your spiritual. Now, I've heard from many people when they go, Sister, I don't have that many positive people around me. So what do I do? And I would say, do you have one? I don't know. I think I'm the only one in my crew. So then what I would usually tell them, well, come here, you have a whole army. Well, you're like 30 minutes away. What you want, positivity or not? Right? So you got to be very sincere and truthful about, do you really want to be positive, or are you just speaking fluff? So if you want positive people around you, go into a positive atmosphere where you can meet more positive-minded people. But don't say you want positive people and still sit with the same people and think you're the only positive one. I think it won't be working out for you very well. Okay? So sometimes you need to put yourself in environments that are going to help you. Now I look at you and I see someone that's totally great. He's got a lot in his future. And what he is to do is to keep focusing his thoughts and energy only on what matters, not what people say, not what you see other people are doing, but you listen to your heart and you check what your skills, your qualifications, your specialities are, your deepest feelings, and on a piece of paper you write down very clearly what is important to you and what matters the most to you. And you don't waste a second. And you do that for about a year or 2 or 3 years, and you'll see so many amazing developments in your life. You'll be like, I can't believe this is happening for me. But what happens when you mix waste things and you're like, well, I don't know, you look in the mirror, you look good, you got the girlfriend, you go here, It's like wasted time. Where does that get anyone nowadays? We need substance in character. We need power in our character. We need leaders. We need to be our true selves right now. And nobody is going to tell us the truth anymore because everyone's scared. So the only people that are truthful in your life are the people who are honest with themselves. They're not afraid of losing your friendship because they know that you need to hear that. And I'll tell you this as a record. You can trust the people in your life who want nothing from you. How many people are that? The people you can trust are people who don't need your vote. The people who don't need money from you. People who are just saying, sis, don't do that. I don't think that's good for you. And they move on. They're like angels. They don't want nothing from you. They're just moving on. I don't know, I just wanted to do good. Move on. Very rare group of people, but when you find them, keep them forever. Because they're very rare. Okay? All right, let's do a little announcement, and then we'll play a nice meditation for you. And thank you for coming today. Keep in touch. Please remember the points that I shared with you. If you want to play back the discussion, just go back to your Facebook Live, and you'll get a chance to hear, what did she say again? Why didn't I write that point down? I know it touched me at the time she said it. See, that's why you need to listen. So just pay attention to your thoughts. This is what all this is about. You become what you think. You become what you think. So if you need to change something, just change your thinking first. All right. Antonia? Thank you.
thank everyone for coming today. I hope you enjoyed the workshop with Sister Jenna. Let's give her a hand. And on your chair, we have a sheet that has a number of upcoming workshops with Sister Jenna. The first one's going to be next Thursday, and it'll be here at this location from 6:30 to 8:30. And Sister Jenna and Reverend Sylvia Sumter from Unity of Washington, D.C. will be speaking about trusting your inner voice. And again, that'll be here Thursday, 6:30. So please come to that if you're available. And also tomorrow at our Tyson's Corner location, Sister Kita will be doing a workshop on self-esteem, unlocking your potential. And that's at 11:30 to 1 o'clock at Tyson's Corner Museum. And also, if you visit our website, which is meditationmuseum.org, you'll see a whole range of workshops and classes that are coming up. We have another one on cooking for peace on November 17th. Which is going to be really good. We're going to have Dr. Ruby, who's a very well-known nutritionist in this area. She'll be speaking as well. So please check that out. And also on your seat, you have a card for the Meditation Museum. And it has information about Pause for Peace app, which is a free app that we offer for Apple that has videos, meditations, and the daily radio show that Sister Jenna hosts, which is America Meditating Radio. That's on there as well. We have over 1,200 episodes that you can listen to, and we have a whole range of speakers that join Sister Jenna. We have politicians, entertainers, a lot of authors, and it's all about self-help and personal development. So that's on the app as well. So if you haven't downloaded it, please do and check that out. In the back, we have a special sale today, 50% off on personal development books. So please stop by, a lot of great deals, and we also have some CDs back there as well. And this one, we have two CDs by Sister Jenna, The Inclusion Revolution and Off the Grid into the Heart, and those are two for $10.99, so that's a little special there. And one more item I'd like to promote, Christmas is around the corner. We have the Who Am I collection, which is a baseball cap, a t-shirt, and a journal. And all of this, if you buy it separately, it'd be about $150. And our special is only $27 for that. That was a joke. So it is $27, but normally it'd be like $44. So that's a special that we have, and if you're interested, we have some of the sets in the back, or you can always come back later and get that as well. So now we're going to have a short meditation, and after that, if you can each come up row by row, Sister Jenna will give you a blessing card. All right? Thank you very much again for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What if I no longer carried any attachments? Attachments about who I think I am or how someone else perceives me, or attachment to my country or my gender, attachment to a religion. What would it be like to be free of attachments to labels and to simply be loving? So just for a little while, I invite you to let go of attachments. What if I was no longer attached to my name? How does it feel? Let go of your attachment to your gender. You're no longer a man or a woman. Let go of your titles. Let go of your nationality. And experience yourself letting go of even your religion. Now let go of your body. If I don't have a name, a gender, would I think of? And who would think of me? It would be the Supreme Being that will think of me, and I will think of the Supreme. In this meditation, I invite you to sit in an experience of unlimited freedom, in real inner power. Now gradually observe how the soul feels